In today's video, we turn an empty deodorant container into a Fallout-inspired anti-gravity roadster for use in games of Fallout, Wasteland Warfare, and other tabletop post-apocalyptic miniatures games. Well, hi folks, this is Lee from SkirmishWarGames.com. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to walk you through one of our latest modeling experiments. We're going to take an empty deodorant container, some pieces from some discount Skylanders vehicles, and then some bits from a clearance AT-43 flyer. And we're going to use all those bits to create a custom Fallout-inspired anti-gravity roadster that you could use for games of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, This Is Not a Test, Wreckage, Across the Dead Earth, or whatever your favorite miniatures game based in a radioactive hellscape is. So the blessing and the curse of this hobby is that your mind starts seeing all sorts of ways to repurpose your garbage. Case in point, doesn't this deodorant stick kind of look like a Flash Gordon style roadster? It even comes pre-fitted with its own nose cone / bumper. What we don't have, however, is a passenger's compartment, so we're going to make one by sawing a styrofoam ball in half, and then we'll shape it to fit the curve of our vehicle using a rounded file. Once it's more or less the shape we want, we'll go ahead and fill in some of the cracks and secure it to the car body using some good old green stuff. There's probably other fillers that would have worked for this, but I knew that the green stuff was going to stick to both the car body and the styrofoam. I'm using a sculpting tool with a little water on it to press the green stuff into the gaps. Then once it's more or less in place, I can smooth it out using some water on my fingertips. I want to stop this knob from turning, so I'm going to put a little green stuff on the top to fill in the gap and glue everything into place. Okay, here's where we're at so far. Now it's time to glue on some parts from the Chop Shop. So when our local Toys R Us finally closed down, they sold all their Skylander Supercharger vehicles for 79 cents a piece, and then 59 cents a piece after that. I think these retailed for $16 each when they first came out. So I bought quite a bunch of them on sale, hoping to harvest all those fans and exhaust pipes and armor bits. Not realizing, of course, that the Skylanders vehicles were built like tanks, and it takes an awful lot of effort to break them apart. We did bust up a handful, though, giving us some choice bits to use for our Roadster project. So let's see what we have. There's a fan with an exhaust pipe. That is a really good rocket exhaust that looked like it's going to work well. There is a fin we didn't end up using, and then another fan with a wing attached to it. So this rocket exhaust looks like it was tailor-made for this deodorant can. I don't know why. And this fan would have been great, but it turned out to be a little bit too big. So we're going to have to go with Plan B. That's this smaller fan, which unfortunately is still encased in that resiny plastic that the Skylanders are made of. So we're going to have to take a little time and sort of bust that out of there. Okay, our fan is free. It is a little dinged up by the process, but that's okay since this is a Fallout vehicle, and a little wear and tear on the hardware is to be expected. So we're going to make our own casing for it using a little ubiquitous green stuff. It's good for what ails you. Go ahead and shape it to fit and install it right behind the cab and in front of the rocket motor. Eyeball it there. It looks pretty good, and there's where we're at. This rocket exhaust could have been tailor-made for our Roadster project here. It does have a little extra flange at the top, which I have to cut off with the Dremel. Once that's done, however, I have a nice flat surface for the glue. Just apply a little on there, stick it into place, press it for a few seconds, and it's perfect. Okay, next I'm going to permanently secure the nose cone / front bumper. This came with the deodorant stick, and yeah, it looks great. We wanted our anti-grav roadster to have some wings. These plastic tabs came off of electrical switch boxes that we had purchased for some other terrain projects. Lynn used plumber's putty to mold the tabs into wing shapes and then sanded them smooth on the sanding block. So now I'll tack the wings into place freehand using green stuff. The material is a little bit repositionable, so I can move them around a little bit if I have to. That's one down. So far, so good. And now I'll do the second one. It was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. You just use the line right before the body goes into its hard curve. And there you go, not too bad. Since our plastic tabs are already tapped for screws, we drilled pilot holes and screwed the wings into place, so they're not going anywhere. Then I use a sculpting tool to remove the excess green stuff before it hardens up. A little blob of green stuff will turn our screw heads into ornamental finials for the top of our wings. This is one of several old AT-43 Flyers that I got on Final Closeout for $6 a piece. This guy drew the short straw, so he's being cannibalized for parts. Here's a nifty little air vent we're going to glue to the front hood of our Roadster. That looks good. Now we're going to give him a single headlight / hood ornament right in the center. Okay, our Fallout-inspired Roadster is starting to look a little less like a deodorant dispenser and a little more like high-speed transport for wasteland warriors. Okay, now it's time to hit the Roadster with some Krylon Gray Primer, which I'm hoping is going to cover up a few of the imperfections. And no, it looks like we're going to need to sand some stuff down, so get out the sandpaper, work on that green stuff a little bit, then smooth out some of the plastic seams, and then to make sure that the styrofoam is as smooth as we can get it, I'm going to mix up some water and some wood glue and give that a couple of coats to fill in some of those spaces. Okay, now we'll hit it with another coat of Krylon Gray and then a light coat of Rust-Oleum Seaside, because we want some of the primer to show through when we're all said and done here. One thing I forgot to do was scuff up the body before I applied the paint, but it seems to be sticking okay so far. Okay, we're going to use gunmetal paint for some of our exposed metal hardware, including our dual gravity coils, our front bumper / ram, the atomic scramjet exhaust pipe, and our external exhaust housing / radiation shield. Oh, and the dented metal lip of our intake fan. Okay, let's move on to our projectile-resistant privacy dome, and I'm going to go with gold, because when I was a kid I had a lot of Apollo astronaut toys, and I thought their gold face shields were the coolest thing ever. Now we're going to put some silver paint on some of the smaller accents to simulate chrome, and we'll weather these guys a little bit later. Okay, now we're going to start shading in some of the recessed areas, including the gills on our dual gravity coils here, and the fan blades in our intake fan. Our plastic body has a nice seam right down the middle, and that's a great place to start the rust and the weathering effects. We're also going to hit any exposed edge, seam, or recessed area that looks like it could use some corrosion, dry brushing some darker rust on the gravity coils. And heavy corrosion is great for covering up any small imperfections. And just for the heck of it, let's put some darker rust down the middle of our seam, because our car has been out in the wasteland for a long, long time. Okay, so I think that's a wrap on the rust effects. I mean, I could keep going forever, but my little voice is saying, don't muck it up, stop while you're ahead. So I think we're going to end it right here. Give our Roadster a good coat of spray matte, and send it out into the wasteland. Well, we hope you enjoyed our latest attempt at turning trash into wargaming gear. If you like our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, please give this video a big thumbs up, and or visit us online at our website, skirmishwargames.com.